Welcome to Modern Hackers. Please subscribe and do not forget to like the video if you have enjoyed. Hi everybody, I will guide you through today on a summary video how this Hoonicorn cam block Mustang made from a 3D printed model that you can find in the video description. We will go through the details, how you orientate. For example, you can see the screen. Based on your printer, you have to orientate the build on the build plate to have the best angles from a printing and leveling lines point of view. You can use any medium-sized 3D printers for these 4K till 14K printers that's available. I just specifically build this from a 4K printer, but you can go ahead with more detailed printers. The print took roughly 5-6 hours to print. Came out pretty well. I had to spend time on the preparation, the body, and later on the sanding. If you set Z height to lower, then you have more precise outcome and less sanding needed. If you just set higher Z value, then you have to sand more. So it is your personal choice. In this kit you can also find the wheels, rims together, and you have the option to choose already assembled wheels, inner side, or you just attach the inner side as a separate part. I use the more challenging one, the separate part. Before you painting, you should do all fitting and checks, sanding. Otherwise, it's messed after the priming and painting. So I'm recommending that. This model containing an engine, a frame, spoilers, very detailed kit. So that is why you have to take attention that you print everything in the right quantities. With the 3D printed models, the preparation is more important and you have to spend more time on the fittings, the sanding work. I use the kind of sanding rotating disc based sander machine with these heads. The heads are in the video description. You need to combine the hand sanding with the machine sanding. You should not over sand. You need to be careful with the edges and the lines, because this body is a Mustang is a round shaped body, so you should not sand fully flat every areas. You need to keep the balance on it. One side of the print, based on the supports, needs more fixtures. You have to use instant glues for resin. Regular modeling glues won't pick up the resin. And if you use instant glue, you have to be precise and careful, because you have less options to redo. For the engines, I had to sand a bit the bottom side of the engine to fit properly. The windows I did not 3D printed. Instead of, I cut out from a transparent film and plastic material to the size of the window. I used and tried multiple materials. For primer, I use Mr. Hobby, Mr. Color 1500 primer, this gray one, because it's good for the white resin and I can see how it's picked up the primer. You can use also 1000 and 1200 ones or specific ones for resin material. It's forgiving. You should spray more than an average model on a plastic model to feel the surface challenges. There are some areas imperfections were never seen, like the under the hood, but the hood, the top of the hood, you have to precisely prepare, sand, prime it, because this will be visible. So whatever imperfections this primer is showing up, you have to fix and fix again, because for example, the black paint will be more showing up the imperfections. So after the primer paint, sand it, then primed again, where I did see some imperfections. You can see. After priming, I used black paint, Mr. Color, Bueno Black gloss paint to fit for the Decals black. This paint was pretty much forgiving. I used Mr. Color leveling thinner to level, like in the picture. During the stage of the color painting, you should not see normally any imperfections, but due to the fact this is a 3D printed model and it's a black paint, I was expected that seeing some imperfections. So after the second coat, I expected have to sand a little bit back. So for these 3D printed models, that's used to happen. Do that level that you're happy with that. When I send it back, I used very, very soft sanding paper, just 3000 ones, not to hurt, but I already made. Just align a little bit, remove the dust, align the surface, more smooth surface due to the 3D printed nature. This was really the filling, the first layer. Then the second, third layer of paint really thinned out the surface. I did it when I got a satisfying result. I usually mix the paint before spraying. So the last layer pretty covered the surface, and the surface was leveled. And the decals, I made the decals in photo editor software because these decals were not available on the size, so I had to make it for this kit and this model. You can make similar way with layers and Photoshop, for example. You can make and get the graphics and make it happen and size it how you need. And I printed to water slide decal paper with inkjet printers, and after I printed, I put some coating layer with varnish. It's cured, and after I cut out, and I could put it, and I used decal softener like for any water slide decals. So this is a custom made decal. I'm pretty sure that you can also do it. It was forgiving result, but if you made a decal, if you make a decal, it's more thicker than a regular one. Just to expect that. So probably more varnish at when you're varnishing the body. Maybe you need to add more varnish to align these custom made decals. That's the only drawback. You have to think on that. Other than this, nothing any drawback if you use proper varnish layers. You should check that no any bubble underneath, flat on the surface. More decals than I expected to this model. More work, but wonderful result I felt at the end. Don't give up with the decals, you can make it. I made you many hints how to make a decal. I did everything on my own, printing, decaling, everything. I have used the 2-component varnish with hardener, with a 2:1 ratio, and I used totally 5 layers of varnish coats. The first was a thin layer, the second layer was a bit thicker, and after the second layer I started monitoring the leveling. And if I did see not leveling properly, I start adding more and more thinner to it. And from the third coat, I sprayed more and started thinning out. And the fourth and fifth coat was really just a thin and leveled layer, give a mirroring shine, a mirrored glossy finish and shine on that. You should not overspray as always, otherwise it's fully get with dust. That is why you use 4 or 5 layers. Also it's helping to later polish out and sanding out the dust in it. Always some dust will go into that, don't be upset with that. But if you follow this layered approach, you can sand and polish out the small dust that gets into it. Between the layers I was waiting on room temperature 10-20 minutes between the layers. So technically speaking, if you have a 2K mixture, one 2K mixed kit could be okay for the whole varnishing. If you use the 1K 1 component varnish, the same process you have to apply. After painting I used a dryer machine, cure machine, fruit dryer to a little bit cure the paint. I was waiting 1-2 days minimum after the 2K paint to have it. If you use a 1 component paint, and if you have a dryer machine, you can have 8 hours to wait it, but for the 2 component paint I a little bit waited longer. For the interiors painting I using Mr. Hobby Mr. Color chrome silver paint, links in the description. Same to the chassis and body, it's pretty forgiving, not collecting the dust, getting to the surface easily, very thin layer is enough to coat it. With the 3D materials always there will be some imperfections when there were some support points. You have the option to either smooth it with a putty or any kind of fix and sandings, or leave as it is. When the material is missing, some parts which is not visible, not much makes sense to fix it because no, it won't be visible, like the underneath, under the seats or inner cage. The wheels I used Mr. Hobby gold, and for the for the tires I used Tamiya rubber type paint, which gave a real rubber-ish material, XF type paint. Link in the description. And after the varnish cured, I added some sanding. I used 3000 grit paper sands, and after polished with 3M compounds, with high cut green one, then with medium cut yellow one, the bottle, and after I finished with the blue hologram remover. But this stage is yet the high and medium cut. With you see this polishing head, this medium soft polishing head, working with two component varnish, not as difficult as it said. It's less collecting the scratches than a one component one. Much easier to finish, but you need to be more careful with the cure times and material and hardener itself, because the two component also has a hardener component that you need to mix properly. Apart from this, you can work properly with it. For starter and junior hobbyists, I'm recommending just a simple one component varnish like Mr. Hobby GX 100 clear coat. It is in the link description. If you want to try yourself, try a two component paint like in the video. Either way, just to be clear and more difficult to remove if anything goes wrong with the two component one. So if you're practicing, use a one component. If you practice yourself, practice your technique. If you are already experienced, go with the two component ones. This red head is rather the finishing head. For the finishing stage, I use this blue 3M hologram remover compound, which puts a shiny finish at the end. After all done, I remove the remaining polishing materials, and with soft clothes I put a shiny finish. These exhaust pipes exits made by this silver adhesive material cutout is better than painting, more realistic. Painted with acrylic water-based paints the inner side of the roof, not to mess the real paint, so I did not use any solvent-based paint from that stage. The windows, you can see the technique, how to measure with the masking tape the window size, put to a transparent plastic cutout, measure it back, make the edges with for example a pan, acrylic pan. I use an acrylic pan which is not hurting the plastic. I use epoxy resin material to glue the window to the frame itself. This is immediately gluing without hurting either the body color of the paint and neither the window. The lamps I printed with transparent resin and used for the front lamps varnish, one component varnish, to give some glossy finish. I decorated the engine and the parts with some non-hurting, non-adhesive and non-lacquer, so just simple acrylic based paint colors. If something goes wrong, you can anytime remove with an acrylic thinner. Easiest to decorate. Did some weathering with AK weathering materials, engine grime for example. Again, this coloring from acrylic paint, acrylic silver. No risk this stage with this paint. Put acrylic paint on the top of solvent based paints. That's the workflow. Fit the rolling cage. Seats. This stage you need to be careful what's glue you're using. For example, the wheels, not to hurt the wheel and the paint of the wheel, and position the wheel inner side and the tire. I used soft glue for that. Some decoration for the rear lamps, like these stripes. I used this adhesive material. The back side of the lamp should be silver to have reflective material. This cross to the front lamp with the same adhesive black stripe. A lot of pen paint for rear reflective surface to the inner side of the front lamp. The exhaust pipes were tricky to fit into that because there was no space, so I used epoxy resin glue, which is flexible to have it happen, not to drop into the body material. Some weathering further for the cooler system. The wheel hubs, these are separate parts in my design, but you can select the easier one where it's integrated already to the wheel. For finally fitting the wheel, I used instant glue because that's the only way to fix it, so you have to be very careful with the direction and angle of the wheels. That's a critical stage. While the other parts you can use some software glues which not holding any weight. Some decoration. Don't forget weathering the wheel. Give some realistic dust a little bit on that to see the screws. And this has finished. I hope you have enjoyed this build on multiple episodes behind the previous months. You can see the detailed parts, part 1, 2, 3. I really recommending you to try yourself with this build. If you can print your own or ask somebody who can print for you or company, make the build. You have also now the techniques how to make the windows, how to cut out. I'm not recommending to print the window, rather the body and the lamps you should print it, while the window should be a separate transparent film. Thank you for watching Modern Hackers. Please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed.